JavaScript is one of the most popular languages out there. I love this language so much that I made so many videos about it. This is a course slash playlist that I made back in late 2017, early 2018. And I decided to repurpose that playlist and add additional bonus content to that and make it into an entire video, longer form with an actual table of contents, so you guys can seek to the interesting part of that. This course is slightly different than the JavaScript Essential course that we made. I think 3 weeks ago. It was very recently, and that particular course was focused on just the tools of JavaScript. How do you do loop? How do you do functions? How do you do arrow functions? And so on. This course is designed to build an application, right? That's why I called it JavaScript by example. So if you're interested to know how to build an application from scratch, again, no particular prior knowledge is required. And what we're going to build on this course is actually a calculator from scratch. All you need is just an editor. I'm using in this video back at that time, I was using Sublime Text, but you actually can use Visual Studio Code. Any text editor will do the trick, right? So now I'm going to go through the chapters of this, and I'm going to start seeing time codes, the title of the chapter, and the source code for that episode or for that chapter, right? So chapter 1 is going to getting started. So this is just installing the web server, making sure that you have all the necessary pieces, having the text editor, all that stuff, and start building the HTML, learning HTML and all that stuff, right? And the source code is there. Chapter 2, we're going to build a user interface, right? So we're going to start building the calculator user interface, right? All the buttons and all that stuff. So getting familiar with HTML a little bit, right? And you can seek to the time of that if you're interested in that part. Chapter 3 we're going to start working with the DOM, document object model. We're going to work with events. We're going to go work with functions, and that we're going to use these in order to essentially start adding a liveliness to the calculator. So it's like a button click event. So when you click, I want to show something on the screen, and so on, right? Chapter 4, we're going to learn a little bit more about arrow functions, just like to make our life easier in that. And chapter 5, we start working with evaluating the expression using eval, so we can actually evaluate like 1 + 1 = 2 and just display the results, right? And chapter 6, we're going to learn about conditions, because sometimes you're going to need conditions. You need an if statement and how that works, right? So we're going to build the calculator around conditions, so that, for example, if you're adding number 6 and after that you're adding a 0, it's going to be 60. But if you're adding 0 and after that number 6, that still become number 6, not 06, right? Something like that, because zeros to the left doesn't make any sense, right? Chapter 7, we're going to run our calculator on mobile, because JavaScript is a native language. It's kind of running everywhere, because everywhere there is a browser, so everywhere can execute JavaScript essentially. Wherever there is a browser, you can execute them. Even in the TV, you can execute that if you want to. So we're going to show how that will run on mobile. So there's like a little bit of tweaking, but not that much. Chapter 8, we'll start using some advanced concept to make our life easier, like CSS, make the little bit pretty stuff. We're going to use arrays. We're going to use loops, obviously, right? And then the source code, as you can see. Chapter 9, a little bit more advanced debugging, right? That's the final chapter. So like essentially we're going to do debugging. How do I debug my code, right? And that's a very critical chapter. So if you're interested in that, stay tuned and enjoy the course, guys. Before we start, guys, I'm going to play a video from episode 7 of that particular course to show you exactly what you will end up building by the end of the course. Check it out. Hey guys, I just want to show you that the app we have been working on for 7 episodes actually work on your mobile device. So you just visit that page, and since JavaScript is a native language and works on any mobile device, it actually works. How about that? Let's quick equal. Ooh, yeah. Works just fine. All right, so you've come here, right? You want to learn JavaScript, or you want to actually, let's correct that. You want to build a cool application that will change people's life, or that will make your life easier. You want to build a mobile application. You can do all that with JavaScript, right? What do you need? You don't need anything. You don't need to know any skills. All you need is literally this computer. I have a Mac. If you have Windows, that will work too. If you have a Mac, that will work definitely, right? So all you have to need is just a laptop, and you can get started. You can build cool applications. So in this series, in level 1, we're gonna build we're gonna build a calculator, right? This might seem trivial, but once you build it, you're gonna say that, hey, I built this, right? And you can add your own touches to this application, right? So let's get started. How about that? Let's get actually started. Just go ahead and start it. Before you jump into code and all these, so before we jump into coding and writing different codes, let's just get to what do you need to get started, right? So you just need a computer. That's we established that, right? You get that. So you need a certain things of applications that you need to download to get started, to run that code that you're gonna author. And by the end of this series, you will be able to author application, you author your calculator, and even run it on your own machine, and you can consume that application from your mobile phone. And that will be really cool things to show after a few episodes. But what do you need to get started? What do you actually need? First of all, you need a computer. Check. The second thing is you need to download a text editor. That is where we're gonna write code, and I recommend Sublime Text. Sublime Text. Really simple, free tool. Go ahead and download it. It's just a text editor. If you have your own text editor, go ahead and use it. It just works. Anything really, literally works, right? Any text editor where you can type anything in, right? We need something to type things in. The second thing we need to do, which is a more important thing, is actually a web server. Things that your code will execute on, all right? So you need to host a web application. You need to host a web server for your application to be executed on top of that. So how do you get that? It's very simple. I'm gonna link a video that I did earlier in preparation for this video to prepare for this series, right? And once you set this up, you'll be good to go, right? So I have on this machine, so you can go ahead and pause this video and go to the second video where you set up your web server. Once you come back, you'll be exactly where I am, and that's exactly what you need to do, right? All good? That's the two things we need. Let's get started. Let's first of all, let us fire off our web server, right? To fire our web server here, so maybe some of you is not familiar with this application called Terminal. So you can just type here literally terminal, and then this will pop up, right? And then once you install your web application or the web server, you will go to the directory of the installation. In this case, in my case, I actually installed it here, right? Node modules, HTTP server, and then bin, and that is my web server. And that's how, by the way, that's how you navigate directly. CD is change directory. So once you are here, right, you have, this is your web server. I am going to execute my web server and run it. So that's how you execute the web server. You type node, that's my Node.js web server. By the way, if you have Windows, you can use your IIS web server or any other web server, but you can just stick with this as well, right? So any web server will work. Node, HTTP server, and then very important is the dot, right? So this will be my directory where I run all my code, right? So it is like literally Hussein, which node modules, HTTP server bin, and that's the folder where everything should be executed from. And that's the hard part. Once you do that, you're done. You have a web server running. Now it's time to start writing some codes, right? So we said in the beginning that we're going to build a calculator. So this episode is probably just getting started, getting set up, learning, taking it very slow, right? We are not in a rush here. We're building and learning in the process, right? So we have my web server ready. I have my text editor ready. What can I do now? What should I start with? The simplest thing is we're gonna build a calculator, right? So that's our goal here. But all our code will be in a single file, and that file is nothing but an actual HTML file. So you might be familiar with this file that when you browse the web and you said, for example, google.com/find.html, you saw some files ending with HTML. So you're gonna author the similar thing here. You're gonna author an HTML file. So don't worry what you're gonna write of it, but let's get started with this now, right? Let's type one thing. Let's just type, I just wrote an HTML file. Simple, right? And then we're gonna save that. Where are you gonna save it? You're gonna save it in the exact directory where you just run your web server. So in my case, it's here. So I'm gonna call it calc.html, right? Stands for calculator. Right? I have other files here, but don't pay attention to them. So calc.html, and then you click save. And just like that, we created our first HTML file. So I want to go ahead and go back to my terminal here, where, did you notice this? When we executed that Node.js application, the web server, we've given back an address, right? We have two kind of addresses, the 127.0.0.1, that's our local machine, and that's the IP address of our machine. Another way to execute any code that is in this directory is to actually use the machine name. If you know your machine name, which is basically something really simple to do, is just type host name, and you'll know your machine name. That's another way of knowing your machine name and address. So now if I copy this and I went to Chrome, right, and I paste that, right, and I type calc.html at the end, I just executed I just fetched that HTML file and executed that, and I brought that into my computer, into my screen in general, right? So let's change that for simplicity because it's very hard to remember that. I'm gonna change that to my machine name. My machine name is Hussein Mac, and that's the port number, right? That's the port that this server is running on. It could be any port, it could be just 80, but happens to be 8080. And that's it. That was the hard part, setting up and getting started. So I just wrote an HTML file. We have that. We have my my address, and that will be literally the code that you will be refreshing over and over and over and over and over and over again. Every time you write something here, let's try it actually. Let's write something more, says, yep. And then I'm gonna hold it and save. By the way, you save Control S, so you'll notice that I'll do this very quickly, but I saved. Now next time I refresh, I get the new stuff, right? It's kind of boring though, right? It's just text, right? So we want to build an actual application. So we have to erase all that code and write an actual HTML code, our first HTML code, right? So just getting started, that's the first episode. How to write HTML code. Very simple. So what we want to do here is to build a calculator, right? So slowly we're going to build out all these elements one by one. But let's build the skeleton. Each HTML application starts with this tag, HTML. You have to have that because it has to tell this file that, hey, it starts with HTML. And it also, and it ends with HTML. If you do that, it just closes that tag for you. This is called a tag. All right. And then what you're going to do next is you do a body. And that's where most of the code is authored. Right. Now to do this the right way, we're going to do it here now. It's going to say, hello world, I just authored my first HTML page. Right? Now when I refresh, if you notice, none of this code will show up. Because none of these will show up. But we know now this is my body, this is the HTML page, and that's where you write everything, basically. Everything we're gonna write it here. And slowly we're gonna build out this application. It's gonna be fantastic journey, guys. We're gonna have so much fun. All right, another thing I want to discuss here is other kind of tags, just for fun. Show you that different kind of, because none of the tags actually did something to my code, right? So let's do this. If you wrapped the hello with this B, right? And then at the end of that, I closed that tag. That's how you open a tag. That's how you close a tag. It's very simple. That's the beginning of the tag. That's the close of the tag. Beginning, close. So what will happen here is I am telling HTML, or the browser in this case, to execute. While it executes, hey, by the way, anything between these tags, make it bold, right? Let's try that. If you refresh that, you noticed, I don't know if you noticed actually. Yeah, it is actually bold, right? You notice that? Whoa, what happened? Face timing. All right. So another thing we can do is we can use these tags, H1, H2, right? Oh, sorry. Close the H1. So what will happen is H1 is called header 1, which is a type of header which makes things really big, right? And that was just basic introduction of HTML tags. And whenever you need, you're gonna ask. Now I know you have questions. Hey, how do I do italic? How do I do color? How do I change my color? How do I do this? And this is the beginning of a journey of how do you do things. You just get started and you learn in the process. You have now the canvas, right? You are an artist, and I believe that programming is art. You have the canvas. Go ahead and make art. Go ahead and do whatever you want, right? Build that thing from scratch. Build that thing. All right, guys. Now I'm gonna do actually the actual code, right? My calculator. Refresh. So that's just title saying this is my calculator. Don't you dare touch that calculator. All right. Nice. All right. Let's continue with our. Oh, you know what? Let's stop here. I think that's enough. We're gonna continue the next episode with more HTML, and we're gonna construct the calculator application. All right. I think this is a logical way to stop. And hope you enjoyed this episode. Now you got to set up. Take your time to set up your application. Ask me questions in the comments section below, and gonna see you on the next one. Goodbye. Welcome to the second episode of JavaScript by Example Level 1. So, in the previous episode, we learned how to build a web server. We set up our Mac, we set up our laptop to host this small application that we're trying to develop here, a calculator. And yeah, we have everything running, we have everything set up. We built this simple few lines of code, and if you notice, that was our output, right? Not very impressive, but it's a start. So in this episode, we will actually continue building the interface. So this is literally titled Building the User Interface of this calculator. So you guys, most of you know how a calculator looks like, right? So that's what we're trying to design here. We're trying to mimic this here. So we have to build these buttons and these beautiful icons here in the HTML page that we're writing. So in order to do that, we need to have some sort of sketch, right? Sketch as what we're trying to accomplish here. So we want to build something like that. So there's a 0 here, there's a dot. We're gonna do an equal, plus, negative, and all these kind of things, right? So we'll have to have buttons. We have to learn how to create buttons and how to create a text box. That's a text. And yeah, and most importantly, we need to learn how to create a table, because if you think about it, this is just a table and it's like a grid, right? So we need to learn this in order to build that. So do you see what I did there? We have a goal, and then we learn tools to build that. We don't learn how to use the tools before we actually build the thing, right? So it's the other way around. As we're trying to learn something, we find the tools that will help us accomplish our goals. All right. It's like in math, most people are confused by math in general, where they find it really hard to see where can I apply this, and when can I apply the integral versus the derivative versus that, because in math we grown up learning tools instead of learning the applications. Does that make sense? And that's why it's really hard to apply math, because solve this equation, or simplify this equation, or solve for x. What does that mean, right? So we're solving tools, right? We're learning tools, but we don't know where we apply them, right? That's the same thing, in my opinion, with programming. That's why programming is hard, and for a lot of people, obviously, not everyone, but in general, people find it hard to learn programming because, okay, when do I learn? When can I use the equal versus the if statement versus the for loop versus the while loop versus the switch? It's the same thing. It's our educational system is teaching us the tools first, and then it says, hey, you have all these tools, go build something. You know, it's kind of hard to memorize what each tool does versus go try building something and then, okay, I need to do that. All right, I need to learn how to do that. I need to learn how to build a table. So I go and learn how to build a table using the table or the HTML. All right, I promise I'm gonna start now in a second. All right, let's get started. So yeah, first of all, we need to build the interface, and the interface is nothing but actually pure HTML. So again, sorry, no JavaScript in this series, in this episode, but hopefully very soon we need to learn these basic constructs. So let's build something like that. Hey, all right, let's get started. All right, so sweet. This is, let's forget about that part for a second. So this is a table, right, of say 1, 2, 3, 4 columns and literally 5 rows, right? So in HTML, a table tag is actually called table. So that's what we're gonna start with. It's a table of 4 rows and 5 rows and 5 columns, and 4 columns, sorry. So let's build a simple table here to start with and see where we can go, right? All right, so we're gonna go to our nice application here, and you can, by the way, add as many new lines as you want. It doesn't really matter. All right, let's get to work. So we're gonna build a table, and again, with HTML, if you start a tag, you have to close it. You almost have to close it. Yes, you always have to close it. All right, you know it's right. HTML, that's the closing tag, opening tag, closing tag, opening tag, closing tag. Okay, so inside this table, again, if I now save this and then refresh, nothing really happens because I didn't build. I built a table, but there is no rows or no columns in that table. So how can I build columns? So let's start with building. Before you build the columns, the application or the HTML, how it's designed, is always you have to start with rows. Okay, so you start this way, right? You build 1 row, 2nd row, 3rd row, and a 4th row and a 5th row, right? So let's build 1 row with 1 column. Okay, let's just start with very simple name. What is a row in HTML? It is that tr. And then since we opened a row, we close it. So now we just started a row. That is a single row, but we did not specify how many columns is in that row. So what is a column in HTML? Very simple. It's TD. So TR is a row, TD is a column. Then we close the TD. And then just like that, we have 1 row, and inside that row there is 1 single column. And between that, the closing and the opening of that column, I'm gonna write something. I'm gonna call it column 1. And then refresh. All right, so we're seeing something on the screen, but it doesn't look like a table. So that is because in HTML by default, when you draw tables, they don't have any border. So you have to draw your border yourself. So there's something called border, and that border is the thickness of that border. So let's just go ahead and do 1 for the border, save. By the way I'm saving is Command S. That's why you don't see me on doing that all the time. Go ahead and refresh, and that's it. That looks like a table, all right. It's a table with 1 column. So who can tell me how can I add another column? Very simple. Copy and paste. You're gonna grow to love copy and paste, guys. Let's do 4 columns. The first column, we're gonna column 2. The third column, column 3, column 4. Does that make sense? Does that make sense? Look at that. Beautiful. Beautiful. Nice. Very nice, guys. Very nice. All right. So now we established, we just established that this is a table that has a maximum of 4 columns. And HTML knows that. It knows that you have 4 columns. That's very important. Okay. Obviously, now we will come back and start building this part. We're not worried about this part for now because there's a little bit trickier part. We're not going to worry about this part yet, but let's build that. Okay. So that's 4 by 4 literally. So let's just do that. Okay. So the first column is AC, right? It is plus minus. I don't know how to do that, but yeah. I think we can do that. So that changes the sign. All right. And then the third one is a percentage. And the fifth one is division. Okay, I don't think I know. Where is the division again? There you go. Nope. I can't find that, guys. I don't know where's the division. There's a special math key that I can't find. Anyway, let's just do that. That's division. Anyway, in JavaScript, this is division. All right, refresh. Looks good, right? Looks good. So we have the first row. Nice. Some of you will say, it's not of a fixed size, if you notice, right? Because the default is just each column is auto sized to the content of that column, right? We're gonna fix that real soon, really easy. But let's take it real slow here. So how do I do another column, another row? We copy the entire row. That's 1 row, right? With 1 column, right? Let's go ahead and paste. That's the second row. And then let's change that second row to 7, 8, 9 multiplication. 7, 8, 9, and multiplication. Then just X. There you go. Looks a little bit awkward, but we're gonna fix that. Don't worry, guys. We're gonna fix that. We're gonna fix everything. And then 4, 5, 6, subtract. 4, 5, 6, subtract. And then 1, 2, 3 plus. 1, 2, 3 plus. Okay. What do we have here, guys? Nice. That's a nice calculator. All right, so let's fix these width things, right? So we want each button, if you notice here, like each button, even if the content doesn't auto-fit, like they have an exact size, right? So almost a perfect square. So how do we do that? It's really quite simple, right? And to do that, right, we're gonna do something called call width, if I'm not mistaken. Let's just do a call width of 50 pixels. All right, and just try that, just to make sure that this is actually that size. Maybe I'm mistaken. Maybe it's just width. Yep, it's just width, sorry. All right, so you notice like we fixed one of them and the rest of entire column just auto-sized, right, to fit the rest of the table. So that's a good thing, right? So let's make it 30. Yeah, that sounds good. And then you can set every single column in your row, basically. So let's do that. Just like that. Look at that. And similarly, let's try setting the height. Nice. You notice that? It's getting bigger. It's getting like a perfect square there. That's nice. So guys, if you will gonna notice that if you start searching on the web, there are literally so many ways. There are tens of ways to actually do this task, right? This is one way of doing it, right? You can use other tools like CSS, Cascade style sheets that actually simplify that, right? But again, we're making things simple. We're explaining things from scratch here, so let's just do this. Nice. So now we took care of the width, but how about the height? Does not seem to follow us, right? We need to take care of the rest of these as well. Right, so let's copy that and let's just do the height on one of them. So if I fixed one of them, the rest of them just comply, if you notice, right? And that's cool. So we can just fix one of each here. And we get ourselves a nice calculator, right? So I don't think we need to set the height on all columns. One is enough, right? Yep. Again, with CSS, there's ways that you can type this as a class and then apply it in all that tags, so you don't have to repeat and copy and paste that code all over. All right, sounds good. All right, so we have some sort of a calculator going on. If you notice these numbers now, they are kind of going to the left, right? This is the left. That's your left. I want them in the center, just like that, right? So how do I do that? There is, in each TD, you have to do something called align, right? So you notice like our code is trying to grow up, to grow as we start building this application, right? So it's good to learn the basic HTML before learning CSS. We'll come to that, but yeah, let's get to these buttons now. Now, number 7, there's something called align equal center. There are values there where you can put different values: center, left, and right. And if you want to learn more, always your best source is W3 School for any HTML code that you can learn, right? And just like that, it's pushed in the center. How about that? That is cool. That is cool. Nice. We're gonna do the same thing with 8. This guy. This guy. Nice. Oh, we forgot the 4 and the 1. Let's do it. Where's the 4? Oh, we didn't do that. Where's the 1? There you go. And just like that, we have some sort of a decent calculator. Obviously now all of you guys will ask us, hey, I want to click on these and do something. We'll come to that, don't worry. Slowly, we'll learn how to build the interface first, right? It's good to learn how to build these basic blocks yourself, because there are tools that actually drag and drop and build HTML. Like, I don't know if there are like new tools, but there used to be something called Dreamweaver back in my days. So I don't know if this is still alive. So, but I don't like to use, personally, I don't like to use tools that do stuff on my behalf, because I'm kind of a guy that I need to know what's going on in my application all the time. I need to know what code is written. I need to understand all these kind of codes, right? So we missed this guy, we missed that, we missed these. Let's make them in the center as well. And maybe in the next episode we'll learn how to do we have to do some JavaScript first, right? But then we come back and clean up this interface and remove these duplication, because you notice, right, I repeated this code a lot, and this is not the best practice by any mean, but we're learning, right? So it's good. You can't just start throwing things. I don't want to throw things that sounds really difficult for you guys, so try to make things as simple as possible. I don't know if I'm achieving that goal or not, but I hope. Do let me know if you have any questions, right? But you notice the pattern that I'm trying to achieve here, right? We build something, we find a problem, we fix it. But we always have a goal. We have a goal to build something. It's always this. And all my videos, I built something. This is my goal, and I face trouble in the journey, and then I find solutions. Like here, right? First, oh, the cells are too thin. Okay, I need to learn how to make them bigger, right? And then I learned how to do that. But obviously, I know how to do it because I have like more than 15 years of work on this field. But in your case, or any programmer really, if you want to learn something, you have to face problems, and you know where to use it in this case. So any application, anything that you'll learn in the future, you'll face some kind of a challenge, and then you'll search how to fix that. And in case of HTML, your most source is actually W3 schools, online, books, just to solve your problem. And you're gonna be good at this because you have a goal you're trying to achieve. You're not just following instructions, right? You want to do something. Now, maybe you're seeing something here that I'm not seeing, right? You want to do something different, and now you will have this state of mind that tells you, okay, I need to fix this problem. I don't like that this is, for example, like a square. I want to make the AC button, the clear button, kind of bigger. You can do that. Nothing's stopping you from doing that, right? So you can change in the application, but this is obviously simple. But in general, this is the state of mind that I want you to think in. I want you to, like, you're building something, you face a problem, you fix it. Always. All right, now, what is the second problem that we face? That's the problem. We need something there on top. But, okay, so that's also a row, but it kind of has one big column that is spanning the entire 4 columns. All right, so you know that the word I used, span. So there is a column span of 4. All right, there is one column, but it's spanning 4 columns. Let's try that. So before, this is the first row, right? The selected row is this. So I want to add a row before that. Come on, man. That's one row. That's one column. And there's one thing we need to know. This column is a special column. It spans 4 columns. And it has a 0 in it. Does it start with a 0? Yes, it starts with a 0. So save and refresh. Look at that. All right, guys. That sounds good, right? But there's a little problem. For some reason, this 0 is on the right. Some light bulbs are going there, right? Do I want it in the center? No, sir. I want this on the right. Oh, God. Right. You know, this is a mirror. It's flipping. So, come on, sir. Oh, this is done. Sweet. All right. Some more challenge. Here. There is a 0 that is, do you know what's that 0? There is a 0, there is a dot, and there is an equal. That's the final column. That's a little bit tricky. So we have 3 columns. One of them is spanning 2, correct? So how can I do that? We have 3 columns, right? So that's the last column first, before the end of the table. TR. There is a 3 column. So 1, 2, 3. It's very important. We have 3 columns. But one of them, which is the first one, happened to be the first one, is spanning 2 columns. Look at that. Obviously, you don't see anything. So let's type something here. So the number 0 is here. The second column, what was the second column again? Was a dot. There you go. The third is nothing but an equal. And obviously we need to center these. We need to center this. How about the 0 is actually not centered. It's on the left for some reason. So we're just following the Mac calculator here. You don't have to. By all means, guys, this is your application. Build it the way you want. You're just learning. You're just building something. You know how to build it. You know how to use the tools. We're both building a calculator. But you feel free to go wild, all right? You don't have to be exactly like I do it. So this is on the left. Yeah, sounds good. Yeah, that's not bad. Sounds good. I like my application. I like my calculator. Maybe I'll make it bigger next time. I don't know. But it looks nice. What do you think, guys? I think it's good. I think it's very good. I think it's a logical stop for us to stop here, digest all that. And obviously, guys, I'll tell you that all the code that we authored here, don't feel like you have to copy it. I know I type fast, but the code will be available on this GitHub page, and I'll copy this GitHub page is literally in the description below, right? You just click on that, and then when you go there, you click on calc, and that's the source code. Obviously, this is the previous episode, but the next episode, you'll find everything is under branches. So you click here, and you click, that's the branch 1, which is episode 1, then you'll see another thing called episode 2 and episode 3. And each episode, we're going to label it with a branch, so you know which episode is to pull from, right? All right, guys, let's stop here and continue in the next series, next episode. All right, hope you enjoyed that. Do ask me questions if you have any questions. Just comment below, and I'm going to see you on the next one. Goodbye. Building our calculator. Look what we built on the previous episode. That's what we built. That's a beautiful schematic calculator right there. Nice, right? And that's the source code for it. Remember? Built it from scratch. Look at that. So again, guys, if you have any questions, if you want to look at the source code, it's available on the GitHub page here. So it's in the description below. You can just click on that along with the rest of all of these series. So I'm going to bundle it in a playlist where you can access it at your leisure. Okay, so what we're going to do in this episode actually is I believe we will start adding the first JavaScript code to interact with our work here. So we can just, you know, if I click 9, I expect 9 to be there. If I click 8, I expect 8 to be here. So another kind of note that I want to add. This won't be like a conventional calculator that is like the one you're used to, where you click 9 plus 9 plus, and it will add the result as you do, as you continue. It will be actually much simpler, where we type in the expression, where we do 9 multiply by 6 plus, and we're gonna add everything there. And then when we hit equal, we will add the results of that expression. Does that make sense? So that's the only difference here. So just make things much simpler as a level 1 calculator, you know. If we do it the other way, it will be very messy. So let's just keep it clean, keep it simple. All right? How does that sound? First thing I want to do before we continue, I want to change this symbol from X to the actual multiplication symbol, which is actually a star. All right? And I'll tell you later about this, right? Why I'm doing this, because I'm gonna use this character in a special operation. So a star means multiplication in JavaScript, and actually I would say in almost all programming languages a star is a multiplication. Someone can correct me if I'm wrong, but I think that's true. But yeah, so what we're gonna do here is, when I click on these pappies, any of them except those, I will add that button or that key or that digit to the result here. Except this, because AC is basically means clear everything, right? So when you click on this, this will reset to 0. How does that sound? Does that sound coolish to you guys? Let's get started. Let's build something. All right, we need to identify something here first, right? These cells, right? Each cell, like cell number 3, that holds digit number 3, is actually nothing but this, right? Which is kind of this element. And be careful here, I said element. That whole object, that whole element, that whole tag is one entity. And I want to somehow identify that entity, identify that object, and grab that value and do something with it. Today, I cannot. And the reason is it does not have an identity. It does not have an identifier. It does not have a unique name that identify these objects. So that is what's missing in our code here today. So that's what we want to learn today. We want to learn how to clearly identify these objects so we can write JavaScript code that can hook into these objects and pull values and create events. That's a new word now. Events. Create events that can trigger an action. An example of an event is, guess what? That's an event. That's an event. That's another event. A click is an event. A double click is an event. A move is an event. All these are actually events. This is an event. An event is something that happens and triggers a piece of code that can be executed. So once we identify these objects, we can assign events to these objects, which can allow us to hook into these events and do cool stuff. Like when I click. Remember when I said when I click? That's an event. When I click. So that object will be listening to this click event, but we have to do all that work. Now it's just dumb. It doesn't know anything. We have to teach it everything, right? All right, guys. Let's get to work. Let's get to work. All right, let's first identify these puppies, okay? You know this? What is this? This is another way, by the way, to look in these. Let's see if we can do this. If you right click in Chrome, if you're using Chrome, and you do right click and you do inspect, remember that's just like our code, right? But the beauty of this is that actually when you click, remember when I told you that this is the row, that entire thing is the row, that is a cell, that is a cell. So that is actually that one, right? That's 0. And then here, and then you click here. That's just beautiful, guys. Look at this. Chrome is really cool. It can tell you which cell exactly, right? So we want a way to identify these puppies. How can we do that? How can we do that, sir? It is by using a new attribute. By the way, guys, I didn't tell you that these are called attributes. Probably you should know by now. Right? We're assigning attribute. This is a first attribute, the second attribute. A third attribute is called an ID. Doesn't have to be in sequence, obviously. And I'm gonna call this ID result because guess what? That's our result, right? That's the beauty of the first one. All right. And let's go ahead and identify the rest of all these. Let's call this clear. ID clear. And then ID is equal sign. Sign. ID equal percentage. ID equal division. ID equal number 7. ID equal number 8. ID equal number 9. ID is equal number 10. Nope, that's not number 10. Mult id equal multiplication, and id is equal number 4, and id is equal number 5. That is obviously 6. Sub id is equal number 1, number 2, number 3. id is equal plus id is equal, oh, guess what, this number is 0. id is equal decimal. That's embarrassing. I don't know how to spell this decimal, so that is really embarrassing. Decimal. My excuse, it's not my first language. English is not my first language. That's cute. Okay, guys, don't make fun of me. Equal. All right, sorry about that. All right. Equal. All right, so I think we identified all of these puppies now. So if we refresh, obviously nothing will happen. I'm not expecting anything to happen here. It's just we have a better way of identifying my objects now. Now that we did that, we are ready to write some JavaScript code, guys. How about that? Let's get started. Okay, I want you to go at the bottom of your application, right before your body, right before your body ends. And we're going to insert a new tag where we're going to write a script tag. That's right. You're going to write your first script. That's what we're going to write JavaScript. In the old days, we used to say like type equal JavaScript, but now it's known script is always JavaScript. There are two options now. We used to do like script equal VB script or equal JavaScript, but yeah, so now it's only JavaScript. But yeah, JavaScript. What should I do? What should I do now? We will learn how to how to retrieve an object. And when I say an object, this is an object, this is an object, this is an object. All of these are object, right? All of these are object. This is an object. This is a cell. A cell is just another object. So let's just do that, right? I'm gonna pull the value of cell number 3, right? So how can I do that? We're gonna do this. Document. That's the first object that you need to learn. Document is the whole big object that contains our entire stuff here, right? And remember, we identified all of these as elements before, right? So guess what? To get an element or to get an object, all we have to do is actually call a function called get element by ID. So you notice that my special Sublime text here actually autocomplete this, right? So you can install a plugin that actually help you do that. You don't have to though, right? Any text editor, if you know it to spell that, you have to spell it correctly though, right? Get capital E element capital B ID, right? So this really helps if you have this IntelliSense that actually can continue this code for you. Helps a lot. So get element by ID, and then what's the name of the element I'm gonna pull? I'm gonna pull number 3. That's the element. All right. So it's always like math, having just an expression like that floating in the air doesn't make sense. You have to assign it to something. So assigning an object or a variable or an element is done by doing this in JavaScript. You do let, and then you declare a variable name, and then you say equal. That means, hey, go find me that object and put it in that variable. How about that? Right? And just like that, we got that object. So, but what can we do with that? Lots of stuff. Remember, number 3 is this, right? So now I can access this attribute, I can access this attribute, I can access so many other attributes, I can access this attribute. Guess or not, this actually another attribute. This is actually the value, the text content of that object. So how do I do that? So let's do that. For simplicity, we're gonna learn another command here that does a message. It's very useful. It's called alert. Alert is nothing but a browser pop-up box that basically shows a value. Very useful, right? Also annoying. So let's just do that. Alert num3. So that won't make much sense now, but let's do that. When I refresh now, this code will always execute because it's just in the root of the script. There is nothing stopping it from getting executed. So it will get executed the moment I refresh my page. It will find that number 3, it will put in that value, and then it will call the browser alert, and then we will put a message there. And there will be something in it, and we have no idea what's in there. Let's find out. Look at that. Digest that while I drink some more. It says, I retrieved an object called HTML table cell element. Right? And that's right. That whole number 3 is actually an object. It's called HTML table cell element. But that is weird because it has number 3 in it. I was expecting to see 3 there, right? I was expecting to see that, the number 3. Well, you can actually show that number 3, and it's very simple. You add that dot. Remember, document is an object, and this is a function that belongs to this object. Number 3 is an object, and to access the properties of that, we can access the properties, and one of the important properties called text content with a capital C. And now if I refresh, I actually got the value inside that puppy. Very, very, very important. Okay guys, let's remove that alert. What happened? Who can tell me what happened if I do this? Sup is a string, a value. Now think of this as a value, as a text, and I'm gonna put this text in the text content of number 3 object. Let's see what will happen. Ooh, look at that. We changed the value of the object. That is actually interesting because we were gonna do something similar. When I click on these buttons, I want to change this. I'm not gonna change this. This doesn't change, right? Right, so we're not gonna do that. but you're getting the idea, right? So what we're gonna do next is we're gonna declare all these variables, document.getElementById, result, and then result.textContent is equal to new result, right? And that will execute on page load. Look at that. Doesn't make any sense now, but we have the building blocks. We know what we're gonna do now. Let's do that. We have this piece. I know how to change that. That is cool. Let's actually write the first event. Number 3, let's stick with number 3 and let's stick with just the result for now. Okay, number 3, I want to do something with number 3 object. I want to add an event on number 3, and that's called add event listener. Remember we said listening to an event? And to listen to an event, you have to specify 2 things. What event are you listening on? And what are you gonna do when you listen, when that event get executed? So the first thing is, that's my event. That's simple. The second thing is a tricky part. When I click on number 3, I want to call a function. I want to call a function. I want to call a piece of code that will put the number 3 in the value of the result. We know how to put the value in the result. We just learned that. But how do I do it on a function? Well, that's a good question. That's how you write a function. Function type. No. What do we call this function? We're going to call this function print. Just print. Print is good. I'm not sure if it's reserved or not, but yeah. Just in case it's resolved, I'm going to call it print symbol, assuming these are symbols, right? Print symbol, and then I'll just call it print number 3, right? That's the function. Make it simpler. What we're gonna do here is, this is just, it has its own body. So what we're gonna do is we copy that code. Same thing, right? Let result is equal that, and then result dot text content is equal the number 3. We have to do it this way. We have to put the quotation between them. And refresh. Will that work? We didn't. We missed something here, guys. So number 3 dot add event listener. We said I'm gonna click, right? On click, I want you to call the function number 3. Print number 3. Let's do that. When I click on number 3 now, what? Look at that. Who can guess how can I do the number 2? We're gonna do this, right? Copy that. Two. Then we're gonna copy the whole thing. We're gonna make this 2. So we need another function called print number 2, and then we're gonna put number 2 in it. All right. As you can see, it's getting uglier. It's getting longer. The code is getting longer, but it's doing its job. Let's see. We're gonna fix that in a minute. Refresh. When I click 3 shows 3. When I click 2, shows 2. That is cool, but I want to fix that. I want to make this one function. But how do I do that? I don't want to just say print number 3 or print number 2 and print. I'm going to do it like I'm going to write 70 function by the end of that. I don't want to do that. I want to do it in a smart way, right? So let's just back up here. Let's call this function print symbol. Just print any symbol, right? But that function actually takes a parameter, and that's a cool thing here. A parameter is nothing but the object. It has a lot of things plus the object that the event executed on. It has the target object that the event executed on, and that's very important. So let's do that, right? When I click on number 3, I'm gonna call print symbol. When I click on number 2, I'm gonna call print symbol. Same thing, but I'm gonna put a hard-coded value here. I'm gonna put a value, and guess what is the value? We need to know what is that E represents. And the beauty of this, like all of these, both of them will call the same function, but they will give different E, different variable, different event target, right? So we're gonna find out soon enough here. Let's use our alert here to say e.target.id. And let's see what happens here. So when I click, let's go through the code. When I click on number 3, this function will get executed. So the cursor will go here, and we will pass something. We don't know what's that. And then we will get that value, and then we will print a value. It will display an alert with e.target.id. What is that ID? I have no idea. We're going to find out soon enough. Refresh. Click on 3. Number 3. Isn't that our object? That is beautiful. If I click on 2, I go, wow. Look at that. We got that object back. And guess what? If we got that object back, that means I can access its text content. Right? Let's declare a variable called object equal e.target. And then see, I saved that object into the target into the object, and then from the object, what are we gonna do here is, you guessed it, guys, you guessed it. I'm gonna take that content of that object that I clicked on, and I'm gonna put it in the result. Sweet or not? It is sweet. 3, 3, 2, 2. Beautiful. Can I scale that code now? Can I do let num1 is equal to num1, and then I just do a num1 dot add event listener click print symbol. Same exact code. Same exact code. That's the beauty of that. And then we refresh, and then we do 2, 3, 1. Look at that. Yeah, it's a bit flipped though. Why is it like that? You'd think it's 2, 1, 2, 3, right? Not 3, 2, 1. All right. Slowly we're gonna clean up code, guys. Slowly we're gonna learn stuff. For now, we're gonna do it this way. For paste. So that's number 3, number 4, oops, number 5, number 6, number 7, number 8, number 4, 5, 6, 7, 8. Look at all this code, guys. You wrote all this code. That's cool. 9, and then 9. Isn't that cool? Again, guys, there is always a better way of doing things, but we're gonna slowly learn. And there's always a reason I do this way, because we're gonna use something else to simplify this code. Literally replace all this code with 2 or 3 lines. But what they call this proverb, where a journey of the 1,000-mile begins with a step. Is that right? Yes, I think it's right. That's how you say it. So always do something. Always make a step. And in all seriousness, if you love to do something, don't say that, hey, someone have done it before. You think there are no JavaScript exercises out there on YouTube? There are thousands, but I don't care. I want to do this. I like teaching. This is my unique style of teaching, and I like to do it, right? So nothing's stopping me from doing it. And the same thing with you. If you love to do something, just go and do it. Do the work. Show your work. You're here because you want to learn programming. And to learn programming is to start building your own application that will reach other people and changes their life and simplify other tasks. And that is the purpose of all what we're doing here, right? Okay, guys. Back to reality. Back to our application. All right, let's do that. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9. Look at that. That is cool. But there's like a little problem here. If I click 1 and then I click 2 and then I click 3, you notice that it's actually adding, right? It's not overriding that value. So let's fix that little problem, and then we're gonna see you on the next one. So let's fix this. So you guys just encountered your first bug. This is what we call a bug. This is an undesired functionality, right? Because this is not what we want, and the application is not doing what we want. So let's get to do it. Let's make it do what we want. When I print the symbol, I get the result object. That's the first line. That gives me this object. And then I get the target. That's whatever I clicked on. And then after I do that, I take the text content of that target and then put it in the result of my object function. So how do I do that? We're gonna do that, right? See, I'm taking the object and I am slamming it into that text content. So that is effectively overriding whatever the old value was. So how can I preserve that value and then add the new content? It's very simple. You copy that puppy. The new result text content equal to the old result text content plus whoa. All right. Okay. All right. should be this way. Equal the old plus the new. And then you concatenate these two guys. So if let's walk through this. Refresh. 3, 2. Oh, look at that! Look at that! Nice, nice. Good work, guys. Good work. That's beautiful, beautiful. All right. So now we have our application doing what we want. Not quite, but slowly. We're gonna do it slowly. So I think this is a logical point to stop here, but let's just explain one more thing before we end this series, this episode. So let's take the result. Take the result object. Refresh. Put 1 here. 0. Okay. What happened here is take the result object. I have the result object and it has a text content of 0. Okay. Always when you execute, go from right to left. Take the target. I'm gonna click on 3. I didn't click yet, but I'm gonna click on 3. And so 3. And then now take the result again from the right. Take the result text content. What is the current result content? It's 0. Okay, take a 0. Yeah, take a 0. And then add the object, which is the target. God damn it. 3. Oh man. Add a 3 next to it. That will concatenate. The result will be 0, 3. Oh man, that's awful. Alright, so if I click 3, 0, 3. Again, this is not what we want. And then if you click at 3 again, take the new result, which is 0, 3, and add a 3 to it. So that's a 3, 3. And then add a 2, and then 1, and then yeah, oh yeah. There you go. Alright guys, let's stop here. It's a logical point, I think. In the next episode, we're gonna do these puppies, and then we do the operations, which is like literally the same code, really. We're gonna do the clear, and hopefully we're gonna do the equality, or the evaluate. All right, guys, long episode this time. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Don't forget to hit that like button, subscribe, and to check out the rest of the content in this channel. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Goodbye. Let us continue with our beautiful calculator. This is the JavaScript by example series where we build stuff using the tools of JavaScript, right? It's always put your mind to it. You're building an app, you're building something, and programming tools are just it's just tools, and you're using them. And what we have been doing so far, man, we did that, right? We built the UI. We have almost a complete user interface. We added events. Oh, look at that. When we click on certain buttons, we now add those to this text. That is cool. What we did not do, which we will do in this episode, is actually add code to clear and add these operations. And hopefully we can also equivalent the results as well. So yeah, let's get this. Even 0, the 0, we didn't add that. So that will be tricky. All right, so there's a lot of, we'll find a lot of bugs in the process, but we're gonna fix them slowly. All right, let's get to work. Okay, open your calc.html. Obviously, guys, you'll find the code from This will be, in this description, you will see the latest code at the end of this episode. So go back to the previous episode, grab the code from the previous episode, and then continue on, right? So that will be episode 3. This is episode 4. All right, what do we do, man? Look at all this code, man. When we learn about loops, we will shrink this code, right? We'll make it more compact, make it more neat. All right, so what are we missing, man? We're missing adding these puppies, right? If we click on these, nothing happens. That's because we did not listen on those events. Let's go ahead and create a subtraction document.getElement by ID. What did we call this? Sub. All right, we called it sub. By the way, there is another way to know. If you right click on this and you do inspect any web page, really, you can find the ID really easily. So it's sub. And then on sub.add event listener, right? Print symbol. And yeah, let's just do that. And then we're gonna add the rest. So 9 minus, nice, 9, look at that. Sweet. All right, let's add the plus. Get element by ID plus. And then plus dot add event listener. Click print symbol. Yeah, don't accidentally add those, huh, guys? Maybe I'll hide my picture here, but yeah, don't accidentally add those. That'll become problematic for you. I think there is mult. Let mult equal document dot get element by ID mult. And then I believe it's called dev. What is that? Is it called mult? And then dev. It's really called dev. Mult.add event listener. On click, just print the same symbol. So we're calling the same function and it's doing great for us, but certain function will need to do different. Last one, dev is equal document, division. And on the division, click, print symbol. Save, refresh. What do we have, man? 9 multiplied by 9 minus 6 plus 3 divided by 2. Nice, look at that. That is so cool. And then we'll need an equal. That will be in, we'll see. We'll need to do the dot. It's very important. And we'll need to do the 0. We didn't do those two. So what is the dot? What is the ID of that puppy? It's called decimal. Decimal it is. Let decimal equal document dot get element decimal. And then decimal. Click. We're just printing, nothing special. Just print those symbols. And 0. What do we call you, 0? 0 is num0. Num0 equal document dot get element by ID num0. And then after we get the num0, I only added it at the beginning because it doesn't, I just wanted to organize it, because obviously you can add it at the end, doesn't matter, but it's just for having the app have a neat look. Alright, so why is this? Yeah, that's because only 3 characters. Okay, alright, looks good. Refresh. 9 multiplied by 6 minus 3 plus 2 minus 1. Look at that. Minus 6.3 plus 6. Nice. Look at that. All right. We're going to show you a list of bugs that we will fix. This is the first bug. 0, if you add 0 to a 0, it's just 0, right? We should not keep adding zeros, right? So we will solve this with something called conditions or if statements, right? If there is a 0, don't add another 0 to it because it doesn't make any sense. So multiplication, that's okay, but another problem is that this is not an operation, right? This doesn't make any sense, but yeah, we're allowing that. And another thing is this. That's because we don't have a fixed size, we have an auto size, and as we add, our calculator gets fatter and fatter. Look at that, full-bodied. It's a full body, it's not that. Yeah, look at that. All right, so last thing we want to do in this episode before we end it, and for the next episode we're going to do the equivalent, is actually clear. All right, so that will require different function to do that. So let's go ahead and add a clear. What do we call clear? What did we call that function? Man, we called it clear. How about that? It's called clear. So let's go ahead and pull that. So that all those point to the same function. They execute the same code. It's always take me, the one I clicked on, which is E, whatever I have as a content, just display it. So it's simple. But now when I click on AC or clear, I want to do something different. So let's do that. Clear is equal document dot get element by ID. Nope, 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 nope. By ID. Clear. And then we'll do that. Clear dot add event listener. Click. Now we can do two things here. We can create another function called clear, or we can actually introduce a new inline function, or we call it expression here. So let's just introduce that as the title of this series. So like we're gonna call this arrow functions. Yeah, why not? Let's introduce this another type of functions called arrow functions. An arrow function are appropriate if you have one single line of code, like in our case, where when we want to clear this text, it's literally take the result, right, which is this, and set it to 0. So it's actually one line of code. So we will have to have that line of code executed in this statement. So to do that is you basically provide the parameter, which is this E, and then you will add an arrow. And then what you will do is basically execute that command, which is document.get element by ID results dot text content is equal to 0. And that's like that. We're done. Do you see that, guys? You can, by the way, add another line here. It doesn't really matter in JavaScript. So take some time, ask questions if you want to know more about this. This is another function type. So this is one way to do it, right? So E is equal document, or I just added this parameter. We don't really use it here, but I'll tell you in a second now. So let's see if that actually did the trick. So 9999999 AC. Woo! Look at that. It actually worked. How about that? So that's how actually we do this. Another way, remember? So again, you can do whatever you want. So there is another function called clear. You can do it this way. And then you can do the exact same thing that we did here. Text content is equal 0. And just like that, we can, let's comment out this line so we can show you that there are multiple ways of doing things in programming. So we can do that and just literally call clear. So you can write that function up and call it from here, or you can use it in line. So let's see if that works. Looks like we broke things, guys, here. What did we break? Yeah, we definitely break something. We definitely broke something, guys. We broke something. Oops, nothing's working. Okay, so that's time for debugging. What happened here? Clear has already been declared. That is right, because we called this function. So what we saw here is actually good. So we use the clear as a function name, and we also use it as a variable name, and the app got confused. So we recalled it clear screen again. So let's just do that now. It says 999, things are working again, that's good. And then we click this and that works again. So you have this option, or you can do it the arrow way function, the arrow function. I was about to say arrowhead, the water. But yeah, that's why we do it. E is really optional here because we didn't really use it. I don't really care about that object AC, so that's one way to do it. Another one way to do it was as we just did here, which is that. I'd like to start using this, right? E. Again, we didn't use that, so if you didn't use any variable, you can just replace it with an empty string. So that's another way of writing an arrow function. Another way of writing an arrow function, you can write an arrow function here, assign it to a variable, but just take it slow here. So now we just introduced another function. Optionally, you can use it if you want. It's just reading that line, you can see what the function does. And instead of, oh, print symbol, oh, I have to go, what does print symbol do? You know? So that's just two ways of doing things if you really prefer it. So I'm gonna comment out this code. I don't believe I explained what comment does. Commenting is a way of explaining the code by saying in free form text, like, oh, this prints out symbol on the calculator screen. Right, so you can type whatever you want and the code will be ignored. This will never be executed. So, and you can comment out a bulk of code that you don't want the code to be executed. Just take it out, right? So yeah, so what do we, I think we will stop here. So we have our nice functions here. We have a lot of bugs, but we'll fix them. And we have decimals, we don't have equal yet. We're gonna do that in the next episode, but we did a clear. That's cool. And yeah, there's another bug here where if you hit 9 or 6 and there is a 0, it will always add the 0, which is really doesn't make sense, right? I think we talked about this. Like if you click here and you add 9, it doesn't add a 0. So we need to fix that. We need to remove that. Really, we're not gonna use a negative or positive here really, because we can just use these as an expression. So, and we're gonna replace them with parentheses. A very important functionality. Okay, next episode, evaluating that actual equation that we're gonna write and displaying the results. Stay tuned. Subscribe so you guys don't miss anything. And I'm gonna see you in the next one. Goodbye. What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from iGeometry, and let us continue with our beautiful calculator here. All right, what we're building today. What did we do last time? We did most of these buttons. Now we can write in full equation, right? We can do coolish stuff. We can clear. We can do division, but we can do, we can even do decimal. Ooh, zeros. All right, so we can do all that stuff. What we're missing? We're missing the evaluation. It's really, really simple to evaluate that puppy. So let's go ahead and open our calculator. That is our calculator right there, guys. All right. Look at all that. Look at all this code, guys. Ooh. All right. What are we going to do now? So we want, when we click on that evaluation or the equal button, right? We want to evaluate whatever expression is there on the result. Is that what it's called? It's called result. Okay. The good thing is that we already fetched that. We fetched the result object. So we have that object. Okay. So what we're going to do here is actually try to evaluate that. Let's just do that for a second here. We have a lot of code here. See, that's the last code. We introduced another type of function last time, trying to be fancy. That's called the arrow functions, where we actually reset. We click, like if someone click clear, we reset all the values with zeros on that. So we're gonna do something similar actually today here. As do we have a button in the equal? Did we give it a name? Did we give it a name, sir? Let me hide myself here so you can actually see the code. All right, what did we call that again? We called it equal. And guess what? We actually did not pull that icon. So let's just go ahead and equal document dot get element by ID, and it's called equal, so let's just call it that. Very simple, very basic. All right, so now if someone clicks on equal, we want to do something fancy here. What are we gonna do, man? So let's just use arrow functions again. I'm really I like those. Just one line that does everything. And by the way, in JavaScript, you can just, by the way, break things into multiple lines. It doesn't have to be like one single line, right? Okay, what do we want to do here? It's really simple, really simple. So the good thing is I already have that object, the result, right? And what I want to do is actually evaluate that result. So literally say result dot text content is equal to result dot, all right, bye, dot text content. But we'll introduce a new function called eval, which is literally a built-in function. Evaluate the supplied string as a JavaScript code. Can you imagine how cool this is, right? So you give it a string, and what it does is actually evaluate that string as if it was a code, basically like 1 + 1 - 3, and then it will actually evaluate that and then compute the result. What are we gonna do after the computing the result of that highlighted portion is put that value in this, and you can just ignore the E. I just added that so we avoid the parentheses. I'm back. All right. How about that? Let's just save and try that. I think you can do that too. Yeah, you can do anything. Whatever is more readable for you guys, just feel free and do it. Just, you can write the code like that. You can write it in one line. You can break it in multiple lines. It's all good. So let's do 9 plus 9. And they say eval. Oh, that's a revelation right there, guys. Oh man, 6 plus 3. 9. Is it 9? Yes. Okay, 9 times 99 times 9. Yeah, why not? Sweet! Sweet. 3 plus 3 plus 1. 7. Holy mama. Look at that. Plus. Uh-oh, that's wrong. Uh-oh. Uh-oh. So, if you did something wrong and if you equal, it's actually, it will try to evaluate it. Sometimes it will fail, like in this case. It will just do nothing. And we'll handle that in other cases. But like if you get 6 plus minus 6, what does that mean? It's actually 0. 6 plus minus 6. Think as if there are parentheses on this, right? So we'll do the parentheses in the next episode, I think, and then we're gonna make this much clearer. All right, so let's just do more cool stuff. 9/3. So as you start doing multiple things, it will not become as clear as, you know, the result of, there's always, like in multiplication and division and math, you know, there's always a function that is preferred over the other. Like certain operators are preferred, like a multiplication is preferred over the operands, such as the addition and the sub, right? So yeah, look at that. 9 minus 6 plus, I'm having so much fun. Can we do some more? Can we do decimal? 3.3 plus 3.3. Uh-oh, it does not like that. we'll need to find out why it didn't fail. So 6 plus 1.1. Huh, it actually worked. Okay. So we need to fix that extra 0, which is useless, right? So we'll fix that and maybe in the next episode, right? So yeah, so I think like 18 plus 3.1, it's 21.1. So 3.3 plus 3.3, it did not like that one, and I think that's because of the extra 0 that we're gonna fix as well. So yeah, let's just take it light today, guys, and stick with that as the result. So we have, I think we have a functioning calculator. Obviously there are a lot of things like division by 0, you know, infinity, right? Well, there's a debate whether it's infinity or not, but yeah. All right, guys, hope you enjoyed this episode. I'm gonna see you in the next one. Stay tuned. Bye-bye. Hey, guys. So some of you suggested that I end each of these episodes with a quiz or kind of a question, so you guys can take the time and try exercise it for yourself, and it'll be, I think it's a great idea. So I'll start to do that starting this episode. So sorry I didn't catch that suggestion later, but yeah. So try this, guys. Okay, so try solving this problem with the tools that we learned so far, right? You can search the net for other tools, but just in general, this is the problem that we have. If I click on, let's start over. If I click on any digit, I'm starting to add. You will notice that the 0 is getting appended to, right? So regardless, whatever we add, we always add the 0. So the 0 sometimes makes sense to add, sometimes it doesn't, right? So like if it's an operator like plus, yeah, it's okay, right? 0 plus 6, but it doesn't make sense to add 0, 9 or 0, 8, or right. So this is the fix. If I clicked on a digit, do not append, right? If the current if I click on a digit, do not append that 0. Try to not append that 0. If I clicked on anything else, it will be okay, right? So 0, 1, 2, 3 through 9, just to replace the 0 with the number instead, right? So it's just, it will be something like that, like that. So if it's 0, click 8, but if it's 0 and a plus, it actually takes the plus into consideration, right? Dot works too, right? You can append it. So work on that, guys, and I'm gonna see you on the next episode, and we're gonna fix that problem in the next episode. Stay tuned. What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from IGM3, bringing you software engineering by example. And today's example is actually building a calculator. Today's topic is JavaScript. So JavaScript by example. All right, guys. So yeah, so actually I had to record this episode again. My mic was off, and I went like through 12 minutes. And then I discovered, oh, there's no audio. So wasn't really useful. You see, just someone just took, yeah, just like that. So yeah, all right. So in this video, we're gonna solve one of the problems that we have, one of the bugs that we have in the software. And in order to solve this, we're gonna introduce a new tool, right? Okay, so to fix this problem is, look at that. First, the problem is when I click a digit and the current value is 0, we're actually appending that. And we don't want it. We don't want to do that. We only want if it's a digit that I'm pressing and the value is 0, I want to override that. But if it's an operation, it's cool to do that. Like keep the 0 and then plus 6 and then minus 3 and then plus 0, right? You can do that. That's cool. But if the current value is 0 and you're pressing a digit, one of these puppies, we always want to override that, okay? Otherwise, we want to append. So how can we fix this problem, right? How can we fix this? Let's go to our function here called print symbol. If you have the code, guys, by the way, this code is always in the description below. I always put the latest code so you can access that. You can follow the GitHub repo to actually see all the episodes and source code for every episode there is. All right, so what we want to do here is ask ourselves a question. If the current value that we are pressing is a digit, all right, and the value is 0, the current value is 0, overwrite. Otherwise, append, all right? Again, let's repeat that. So see, we just introduced a new concept here. We're teaching our code something it doesn't know how to do before. We're teaching it conditions, right? If I'm clicking on a digit, which is 9 or a 6 or a 3 or a 2 or a 1, right? Then overwrite. Don't append. Don't append the current 0 to that. Just override it. So how can I do that? So we ask ourselves a question here. So how do I check if it's a 0? What is the 0 here? That's the value, right? The actual result. If this is equal as 0, so what did we write here? So this is the conditional statement. So if, this is a keyword, you add parentheses, that's the condition, right? and the result.text content is this if that value happens to be 0. So now you notice that there is a double equal here instead of the regular equal. The regular equal means an action. Hey, go and assign the right-hand side to the left-hand side. This is actually a question. Is this equal to this? It's an actual binary result. Does this equal to this? So it either returns 1 or 0. Otherwise, this is actually overriding the value. Whatever on the right-hand side, put on the left-hand side. So if it is 0, what do we want to do? If it's a digit, we'll worry about whether it's a digit or not later. But I want, if this is true, if this is a result, 0, then go ahead and just override the object.text content, which is what object I clicked on here. Override it, regardless. Else, do this. So this means either one of these will get executed, not both, right? And this is very critical in programming. You have to, I want to execute one path, but not the other. Can we save and test our stuff? If it's 0, override. If it's not 0, then append. We'll check out. 9, that's cool. It actually wrote the 9, overriding the 0. 6, it actually appended now. That is coolish. Coolish. 9. How about 0 plus? Oh, we don't want that. We want actually, if it's a plus and minus and multiplication and division, we want to append. So how can we fix this? There are like literally tens of ways to fix this problem. You can add more if statements. Now that you know how to do if statement, you can actually, what you can do is write another function called print. This is print symbol, right? And this works only, I want this logic to be executed only when I click digits. So 1, 2, 3, 4, blah, 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 to 9, and a 0, obviously. All right. But I do not want this logic to execute on the rest of the stuff. So how about we call this function, we copy this function, and we call this print digit. And this is print symbol. So we have two functions now. Print digit if, let's add some comments, if the clicked object is a digit, like 1, 2, 3, 4, 0, we have this special logic where if it's a 0, then override, otherwise do that. But print symbol, guess what? I always want to override a symbol if it's anything else. Interesting. Okay, that sounds good. If it's a symbol like these, append regardless. So that's our original code, if you remember. Otherwise, do this little trick. So let's go to our events here. Remember these guys? Remember? Go back to the 3rd episode. You're gonna watch these. So number 0, that's a digit. So I don't want to call print symbol for it. I want to call print digit. And number 1, dash right, dash right, dash right, dash right, dash right, dash right. Yep. So these now go through a different path, my friend. Right? That's fine. Try that. 3. Ooh, mamacita. Look at that. Ooh, nice. Look, this is what I want. We want to append. Nice. This is cool, guys. This is coolish. So 9 multiply by 9 plus 3 minus 2.1. This is amazing. This is amazing. Amazing stuff. All right, guys, we're gonna stop here. So we introduced the calculator conditional statements, right? I'm gonna push this code to GitHub right in a second now here, but yeah. So what do we want for the quiz for the next episode, right? Okay. All right. So this is something that you guys you can do it yourself, but I'm not. I think I'm not gonna do it. Now that you know conditional statements, how about you do this? Fix this bug. See, this is not a this is not a mathematical equation. That doesn't make any sense, right? So try. I think this is a bit difficult, but try, give it a shot. So if you just clicked on a multiplication or a division or an operator, you can only click on one operator at a time. This is kind of validation that we can introduce, but try to fix that. It's a little bit challenging, but give it a shot, right? So what we don't want is if someone attempt to like click plus and then he tried to add another operator, so another symbol, so he tried to add two symbols consecutively, we want to block that, right? That's your quiz for the next episode. In the next episode we're going to do something different, right? If you ask me to do that, we're going to do it obviously, but let's see, right? Take yourself into this challenge. You know variables, I think. We introduced variables, so we're gonna use variables to do that. If I click on a plus, users can't click on two operators consecutively, right? We need to break that. So that's one way to fix it. Just try to fix it. Try to fix this bug. We will introduce a fix for this instead tomorrow. Not tomorrow. Whatever we're gonna fix this fat calculator, full-bodied calculator. Look at that. Look at that. We're gonna fix that. All right, guys. All right. Have a great evening, morning, afternoon, guys. Subscribe, like the video, all right, and keep watching, keep subbing, keep liking. See you in the next one. Goodbye. What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from iGeometry, bringing you software engineering by example. So, welcome to the 7th episode? Yes, 7th episode of JavaScript by example on level 1. And I think I will make this the final episode unless you guys want to continue this, but we need to start level 2 very soon. Coolish stuff are coming, very coolish stuff are coming, right? I want to build a game on level 2, so that's why I want to end that. And you can feel free to go nuts on the comment section, ask me question. If you want to resume, this is not the end of the world. We can always resume and make this app much more cool. But yeah, I'm gonna try to add as much. So this is gonna be a long episode. I'm gonna add as much as stuff as I want in this, and kind of just move on to do the next thing. How about that? All right. So what do we want to do? I'm gonna convert this into an actual text box where we actually can type stuff there. That will be cool, very cool, right? And once we type, we can actually make really cool stuff once we can type, right? I'll remove that, right? Percentage. It's not really useful for us because yeah, we can keep it. I don't know. Okay, but I'll replace those with parentheses and I'll make this into a text box. Let's get started. So our puppy here, where is it? We're building this, right? We've been building that. Where's the result? The first line is actually the result, and it's just what it is, right? It's just we're using the column itself, but we want to introduce a new element in this. Actually, this is might be the first element we introduce here. Beside, we didn't even introduce buttons, did we? Yeah, we didn't have to introduce buttons, but yeah, what we have here is a bunch of columns, but we want to add a control and that control is called text box, where you actually can type stuff in and interact with it. So it's really cool. So let's do that. How about that? Let's just do that. Okay, so between these columns we're gonna do a new element, and that element is called input. The type of that element is called text box. I think it's called text box, like that. And just let's test that theory real quick. Yep, it works. That's the text box right there. Okay. Now we need to give the same ID that we give to the column to this, because that's where we're gonna write and slam stuff there, right? That's the second thing we're gonna do. Perhaps we're gonna give it a nice width as well. Width is equal 30. 200 pixels. I still don't know, so let's just check. 200. 200 sounds good, right? 200 sounds great. Okay. Now, we'll see if our application actually works. Obviously not, because the whole thing now changed, right? Because this is now, let's make this a little prettier. How about that? Yeah. So now we were introduced that when I want to put a value or read a value from a column, we were using text content. Remember that? I think this changes when you're working with an actual text box. So the value is actually called value. So let's put the default value as 0 here. And now I can see a 0. That is cool. That is nice. All right. That is very nice. And now, let's see what we need to change here, man. The print symbol, and instead of text content, we have to replace it with value, right? And print digit, we gotta replace the result. We're gonna keep that. Didn't change. We didn't change that object. We only changed the results, right? So anything that says text content, we change it to value, and hopefully that does the trick. 9 plus 9 minus 1 plus 6. So this is what I wanted to do. I wanted to basically make this fixed size so we don't actually make the calculator doesn't get fat as we write things. And clear, clear doesn't work because we didn't fix that. Where's the clear? Clear says click text content, that changed to value. What else, man? What are we doing here? Evaluating, the actual evaluating, obviously, that changes to value. Sorry, I'm blocking the screen here, but yeah, nothing fancy. All good is all good. Look at that. Looking good, guys. Looking good. Let's refresh that. 9 times 6 is equal to 54. I think that's right. That's about right. We need to change these puppies into parentheses and close and open, right? Where is these, man? Sub plus multidecimal clear equal. What do we do, man? So plus and equal, plus and minus. What is that? Percentage. So this changes to, I wanted to change this to this and make that right P right parentheses, and this becomes boop, left parentheses, so left p. All right, refresh. Nice, but they don't do anything because we didn't actually inject any code. So how about injecting some code in this? Right. Beep, 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 beep. Let write p is equal document dot get element by id. Write p, that's what we called it, right? Paste left p, and then we're gonna add event listener. Left p dot add event listener. Click. What do we execute? Print symbol, right? It's just a symbol. And then write p. Write p. Also the same thing. Print symbol. Ooh, nice, nice. Times 1 plus 6. So the value is, this will get executed first, so 7 times 9, right? 63. 9 plus, can I do that? 7 plus 3. So that's gonna be 18. All right. That is actually cool. We finally built a full-fledged calculator. And guess what, guys? You can actually type in here. So 999 plus 1 divided by 1,000 is equal to 1. Uh-oh. 999 plus 1 divided by 1,000. So we need to execute these first. Now this is equal to 1. Ooh. So the order of the parentheses really matter here, right? So 999 plus 1 divided by 1,000, that gives you, this will execute first. If you don't, this will execute first and then add that. So if you want to execute these guys first, you have to add parentheses, right? Then you so equal, then you do it plus 6 times 9 plus 2 plus 2 equal, and just like that we completed our calculator. So that's a full-fledged calculator. Alright guys, so feel free to write in the comments below, what do you want to see next in this? Ooh, I want to knock out the bottle here, just a second. Okay, yeah, so tell me what you want to see in this application. So there's the certain code that we written here. We can enhance it, we can simplify it, but I think it's good to stop here and start moving into a level 2 and start learning more and more new functionality of JavaScript while building an actual more interesting things, like we're gonna build a game, Alien Invader, and then level 2. So that will be, I think that will be exciting. So for you guys, if you still want to continue working on this, feel free to do so. This is the source code. You can change it, you can play with it. There are a lot of things that we can, this is not an optimal code, but it does the job. So you can always change it, make it more better, looks better, change the variable names, right? Do things that you feel more comfortable with the code, right? You don't have to use the same exact names that I'm using here. You can change it to do whatever you want, right? As long as you stay consistent, obviously. And we're gonna, in the next episode, we're going to introduce CSS, clean this up, right? So there's a lot of things we might actually make an 8th episode if you guys really requested it. Just write down in the comments if you really want another episode. We can like do code cleanup. I have a lot of things to do, right? I have a lot of ideas. But yeah, that concludes our calculator, guys. You guys have to be proud of yourselves. You built a full-fledged app and learned a language at the same time. Alright guys, you stay awesome. Subscribe to iGeometry, where you learn software engineering by example, by actually building something, right? Stay awesome. Hey guys, I just want to show you that the app we have been working on for 7 episodes actually work on your mobile device. So you just visit that page, and since JavaScript is a native language and works on any mobile device, it actually works. How about that? Let's quick equal. Ooh, yeah. Works just fine. Just need to zoom in a bit here, but yep, cool stuff. Go build something cool right now with your knowledge, right? And show us. All right, guys, stay awesome. Go build something cool today. What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from iGeometry, where we discuss software engineering by example, and welcome to another JavaScript by example episode. This is episode number 8. We stopped for a while, guys, there, but I'd like to pull this series back up. Alright guys, so this is still level 1. We're still building the building blocks of our beautiful calculator. Remember guys, let's go ahead and run this. Just make sure that showing you what do we have done. Okay, JavaScript by example. Just double click the HTML, and yeah, so we have built all these concepts. We learn how to build basic HTML, and we have written all this code, right guys? We have written function. The last thing I remember is like building all these get element by ID to get the actual object, and add an event so we can click and do something about it. And I want to take we discussed arrow functions and cool other stuff as well. So I want to take this to the slightly next level, right? And talk about arrays, and talk about loops, and when to use all these cool stuff. Obviously you have to gonna use it, but I deliberately written this code in this manner so you actually understand how why did we do arrays and loops to begin with, right? You have to understand the basic reasoning of us doing anything in life, really, right? You have anything you do, there must be a reason behind it. Okay, so loops. Okay, before we discuss loops, I want to introduce basic CSS, right? So maybe we're gonna split this episode into 2, but let's first introduce the CSS, right? So CSS stands for Cascade Styling Sheets, okay? And these, if you notice in our HTML, it has nothing to do with JavaScript really, but if you notice in our JavaScript, there are a lot of repetition here, right? All these things, these properties, right, with the width and height, the width 30, 30, 30, center, all of these are repeated if you think about it, right? So you can use CSS to create a quote-unquote a style, and then assign these styles to your elements, and this way you can only change one place instead of changing multiple. Let me explain. So now if you decided to change, right, like the width from 30 to 70 or 50, right, you have to go through all of this code and do that change, right? Okay. If you use a style, you can do it one place, and it will basically get affected in the entire HTML file. Let's go ahead and introduce that thing. Styles are built in a tag called header. Okay, so we have to build the head. Is it head or header? I forgot. I think it's head. Okay, so you build a head, and then you build a style element. Okay, and just by doing that, you can now create a style. Styles right? There are a lot of types of styles, right? But I want to introduce the class style, where you want to create a new type of style. And you always start this with a dot, okay? You say dot, and then the style name, I'm gonna call it symbol, because all of our digits and buttons are symbols. I'm gonna call them symbols. That's just how you start your symbol. If you have noticed, guys, I'm sorry I did not mention that. I switched my editor, the text editor, to Visual Studio Code. I really heavily recommend you using that. Okay, go ahead and now code.visualstudio.com, download and install that. It changes your life. Forget about the Sublime text that I used to use. Okay, use this instead, right? It will change your life, especially for JavaScript. It's so simple. Okay, just go ahead and download that right now before you start coding. Believe me, it will change your life. So what I want to do here is I want to introduce a symbol, and the width of this symbol is always 30, and the height is always 30 pixels. And I want it to be in the middle, so I will use align. I think this thing is called text align last, and that will be center. And that's just the element that will allow us to do a center element. Okay, now guess what, guys? All we have to do is just start removing code. So I want to remove this part. This is all styling, and replace it with class equal, guess what? Symbol. All right, cool, sounds good. Let's go ahead and do it on all of these guys, all of them. Okay, all right, do that. I'm gonna do it on all of them. Oh, what did I do? I'm gonna do it on all of them except the equal element, right? I'm gonna explain why in another video. So we'll just do this. We're gonna keep the ID because we might need to use it, right? Again, the ID is where we can pull that object and do stuff with it, right? Just do that. Yeah, 0 as well. Call span 2, sure, we can keep that. Decimal, what is decimal? That's the dot. I think the dot, okay. All right, so let's just use this. All right, I'm gonna keep the equal here, okay? Oh, you know what? Let's change the equal. I'll tell you later when to fix that. But now, if I do that and then refresh, you notice almost nothing changed, right? It's still, my application works, nice, 9 times 9 plus 1, 8. Did I do minus or? Yeah, 820. Seems to be working. All right, our application is working. Okay, it's like a slightly cleaner code, I guess, right? It's cleaner. The next thing I want to do is I want to understand. See, I had two functions here. One function called print symbol, and the second one print digit. And the only difference is this if statement, where we said if you click the digit 0 and the value of 0, avoid adding duplicate zeros. That's what we did. Remember, guys? That's the number 0. We're adding print digit, and decimal, we're printing a symbol. But that does not, it's not the same case with the symbol, because we don't have a 0 in the symbol. The symbol is basically these. That's what I'm referred to as symbol. But now I'm changing all of them. I'm calling them symbols. Okay. So now if you think about it, this is kind of a special case of this, right? So I can actually get rid of this print symbol function and then use print digit, or we can just call it print symbol, right? And then get rid of the print digit altogether. Cool. So now this is my new print symbol function. Cool. But now what should I replace these with? Simple. Replace it with symbol. Symbol, replace it with symbol. Go ahead and replace all of them. You see where I'm going with that, right? I'm trying to make this as homogeneous as possible because the code starts to repeat itself. If you see a code repeating, that's a sign for a loop. Okay? We might actually do the whole thing in one shot. Let's do it. 9 times 9. Things are working. Cool, cool. All right. That's cool. So now, all of this code, I'm getting the number 0 just to add an event listener symbol. And then I'm getting the second one. I'm adding the same event listener. All of this code is exactly the same. The only thing that is changing is actually this, right? This is changing. That is very interesting. Except, if you think about it, guys, these are actually different. The clear button has not the same code as this. So I want to, since it's different, I'm not going to refer it as a symbol. I'm not going to use the class symbol to define the equal and clear. So let's remove that from equal. That's why I'm going to remove that. Okay, because I want to be as consistent as possible. Okay, so we have all this code and we have that. This is what I'm going to do next. I'm going to introduce arrays for you guys. What's an array? An array is, this is how you do an array in JavaScript. Okay, first we'll introduce arrays, and then we're going to take that knowledge and do something with it. Okay, the arrays. Okay, what is arrays? An array is, this is the notation of an array in JavaScript. So let's create an array. Let's do let array equal this. Okay, and then you put stuff in this array, right? You put number 9, 7, 6, 4, 3, and that's it. You can build another array B that has apple, lemon, strawberry. This is how I spell strawberry. Don't trust me, guys. The English is not my first language, right? Okay. I'm gonna change it to peach because I don't know if it's that spelling. Okay, so that's the array. Okay, so what's the idea of having everything into a collection, an array of collection? You can then apply the loops. Okay, so the only reason to do an array is to do an iterator, to iterate through them, to tell the computer, hey, start from this and go ahead until the last element. Okay, so now I'm gonna start coding here, just showing you guys how arrays work. Okay, so if I do A and I do sub 0, which is the index of the first element, which is this guy, I'm gonna get an alert of 9. Okay, let's do that. That's a 9. Looks good, right? And if I do alert B sub 0, what do you think I'm gonna get? Apple, right? So what do I get if I do 1, B of 1? I'm gonna get lemon. Okay. And what do I get if I do this? Let I equal 0 start from 0 while I is still less than b.length I plus plus alert b sub I. That's how you do a loop, essentially. And looping will, there are multiple ways of doing loop, but this is the easiest for loop, right? So you start from 0, and it will do a conditional check. Says, hey, is I less than that length of the b, which is 3? Yes, 0 is less than 3. Let's continue. What do you want me to do? If it passes that check, yes, go ahead and execute this. Okay, I'm gonna alert you b sub 0. Okay, so we're gonna get apple. Then move to the next loop, which does this first. Increment I by 1. I plus plus means incremented by 1. So I becomes 1. So now do this again. Don't come back here. Just go here. Okay, so 1 is 1 less than 3? Yes, it is. So, okay, that passes. So go ahead and do this again. Alert b sub 1, which is lemon. Okay, and you do this again. 2 is less than that. Okay, so still passes. 2 is still less than 3. Passes that. Reaches this. Show you peach. And then increment that. Becomes 3. And then check it again. Is 3 less than 3? No, I'm sorry. So that fails. That exit the loop. We will not execute that. So what we get is apple, lemon, peach. Sorry. Peach. Apple, lemon, peach. Apple, lemon, peach. Got it, guys? Get it? Cool. That's cool. Okay, so that's arrays. Okay, I'm gonna keep this for you guys. Right? Again, I'm gonna put the code in the description, so you don't have to like pause the video if you want to. All right, simple stuff. Simple stuff. Okay. Last thing I want to do is I want to do something very brave. I try at least in my life to do something very brave and get rid of this entire code and replace it with loops. Can I do that? I don't know, man. Can you? Well, first we need an array of all these guys. Okay? How do we build an array of all these guys? I mean, we have all these guys, I think, right? We have all these guys. So all we have to do is just build an array of symbols, right? That's one way of doing it. I have another way of doing it, but I'm going to do it in the next episode. Okay? I want to make things simple for you. So we can do this. Do this. And then just, right? num1, num2, num3. We'll start building the array. Right? num6, num7, num8, num. And then we're going to add, by the way, guys, JavaScript doesn't yell at you when you do this. You can do this if you want to. And then we do shub, and then we do plush. We can do mult. All of them the same code, right? As long as they execute the same code, we're safe. We can do that. Okay. This is num sub, right? Sub plus mult div division decimal, yeah, all of that thing. Clear. I don't think clear is one of them. I don't want to treat clear. I want to treat clear differently. And this. Okay. Something wrong. Okay, I forgot a comma. Sounds good, guys. Right? Sounds good. Let's do it this way. Yeah. So now I have an array. This is one way of doing an array. Another way of doing an array is to do symbols.push, and then you just do num0, and then symbols.push, and then you do num1, and then symbols.push. The only reason you do arrays is to save your life and save you a lot of coding, okay? Sometimes arrays don't work, so you don't have to use them if you want to, okay? So the first part of this episode, I'm gonna try to get rid of all this code now. Who can tell me what should I do? Let's comment all this code. Okay. Comment the code basically, just like don't execute it. All right. So for let I equal 0, while I is less than symbols.length, I plush. What should we do, guys? I want to do, this is the most common code, right guys? It's even Visual Studio Code is highlighting it. So I say, hey guys, that's the same code. Why are you repeating the code? So I want to do boop, do this. But what is this? What is this now? This is symbols sub I dot. Does that make sense, guys? I think it does, right? It's very simple stuff. So now we just got rid of all this code. Still, we can clean up this code a lot, guys. I built this in this way for a reason. It's because this is a beginner's JavaScript. We're building JavaScript by example, right? That's how we learn, man. That's how we learn. We don't introduce random JavaScript artifacts and we don't use them. We introduce things that we use in real life, okay? So let's see if this works. Maybe we'll get some bugs, okay? This is how you check for bugs, by the way, guys. You go Chrome, more tools, and then you do this, and then if you see red stuff here, that means there are errors. Okay, let's try. 9 times 9. Oh, guys, it's working. I am very happy. It is working. Okay, how about now? See? Division? Ooh, working. Clear? 9 plus parentheses 1 times 9 plus parentheses 8 times 9 parentheses. Guys, this is great, right? This is excellent. This is excellente. All right. Okay, I should have done. All right, guys. I think I'm gonna stop here. Okay, let you digest this. Arrays, loops, and CSS. The reason I did CSS is in the next episode, and I think some of you already started to gaze as well. I essentially the reason I introduced CSS is to get rid of the rest of the code. To get rid of this code, essentially. And we're gonna ask HTML, says, hey, give me an array of all your symbols. And that will give us an array, and this code will remain the same. All right, guys. I hope you enjoyed this episode. Subscribe if you like this video. All right, guys. Check out the other content in this channel. There is a lot of cool stuff, right? And I'm gonna see you in the next one. You guys stay awesome. What's up, y'all? This is Hussein Nasser from iGeometry, where we discuss software engineering by example. Welcome to another JavaScript by example series where we basically have a simple application that we're building from scratch and we're learning JavaScript in the process. In the last episode, episode number 8, we learned about CSS, implementing CSS in HTML. Not really JavaScript, but it's kind of related. We learned about loops and we learned about arrays. And in this episode, I want to take this to the next level and introduce a new function that is in JavaScript, especially run in the browsers. And that will help us reduce the amount of code and refactor our code and make it much simpler. Okay, so let's go through the code a little bit again. Okay, so what we have here is a bunch of elements, right? So we have elements, and we are using get element by ID to get basically these elements and then store them into variables using let, right? Let this, and we have all these. So what we did in the last episode, we group all of these, special one of them, into an array, okay? And then what we did is, instead of the old way, we're just doing add event listener calling the same function, we just looped through the array and then called the same function. Because for the next element, just go ahead and add the event listener, which is the click, in order to print the symbol on the calculator. What I want to do now is even simplify that even more. So this symbols array, I want JavaScript to give me that without me having to write all that code, right?
So how can I do that? Okay, so let's think about it a little bit, right? So what we did is this number 0, number 1, all these digits have something in common. We did that. Remember, let's go to the HTML. What do they have in common? What do you guys see? What do you see they have in common? You figured it out, right? All of them are belonging to the class that is called symbol, right? So if and only if I have a function that says, hey, JavaScript, can you give me all elements that has a class symbol? And then put them in an array? Imagine, if I have that, then I'm gonna give this, right? And just like that, I have no use of this anymore. Okay? So that's a trick here. So what I want to do here is at least these, right? Number 0, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, and then the operations in the right p parentheses and the left parentheses. Okay? The clear button and the equal button are not part of the symbol. So I'm gonna leave them here, okay? But pretty much everything else, right? Even the results, if you think about it, the result is not even part of the symbol because results have a special function, okay? What we do with the result, a clear and equal, is not the same, right? Result is essentially the we do we essentially calculate the result when we click equal. So we still need this variable somehow. So we're gonna keep it. But I'm gonna comment out all this code, and then don't worry, guys. I'm gonna essentially provide the code for you at the end of the episode, so you can take a look, like we always do. But what I want to do is also comment out this array. You know what? Let's comment out this. I don't want this anymore. But this symbol, I want all elements that have the class symbol in them, right? Which is this guy. Symbol. So let's see. How can we do that? It is in a document. So in the document, there's a function called get. And instead of one element, there's elements by class name, right? And then the class name is called symbol. And then just like that, this will return me an array of all the elements that have the class that is equal symbol. That's extra. We should remove it. And then take that element, loop through them, and then let's add the event handler, which is the click on every single element that is a digit or an operation. So let's see if this works. Remember how to execute that stuff, guys? You go to your terminal, and either in Visual Studio Code, if you click here, terminal, or you go to the terminal here, you go to the same location essentially, right? And then you do http-server, assuming you installed Node.js HTTP server, and then you say dot. That will host you in import 8080, and obviously the browser, the thing is called calc.html. So let's go ahead and execute that. HTTP localhost 8080 calc.html. Okay. Let's see if we got the latest code. Visual Studio. That looks like the latest code, right? That's the function that we just added. So it looks good. And let's refresh. And 9 times 9. Looks like things are working, guys. Right? It's working. So let's try to clear. It's also working, right? So 9 times 9 equal, looks like it's good. So let's go ahead and show you what exactly is going on here. So I'm gonna put a debug. I don't know if I showed you debugging here, guys, but the way you do it is you go, I prefer using Chrome for this thing. What you go is you click on this 3 dots in Chrome, then you go to more tools, and then you go to developer tools, and then when you do developer tools, you click on sources, and then you click on the HTML file, and then just like that, you'll click here, and that will set what we call a breakpoint. Now, if you refresh, the code will get executed, starting from the script up until the code that you break in, and then it will stop until you do something about it. So, and the cool thing about it is, as you start just hovering over these objects, you can see the values of these objects, which is pretty cool. Okay, so let's go ahead and just click this, right? Step over the next function. So just one step, go one step, okay? And instead of executing the whole script, okay? One step versus the whole script. Or you can do it from here. It's up to you, okay? So I just want to step over. Poof, execute that code. And then the reason I did that is because if I hover over the symbols now, look at that. What is this, guys? 0, 1, 2. That's an array. That's the same array that we have built, right? It's except it is much simpler, okay? And then it is pretty neat that we have that, okay? And then let's go through the loop. Let I equal 0, so the value of I, hopefully, is 0, right? So this is like another way to show you actually how loops works, which is pretty neat if you ask me. So I is 0, so let's step over. Is asking the question, is I less than symbols.length, which is 18? That's pretty neat, right? So we have 18 elements, okay? Is 0 less than 18? Sure, yeah. So what it does is like step, and then go and execute the code. Take the symbol I with a 0, which happens to be, what is the first one? Class name. We can get the ID here so we can know. The ID is called clear. The first one is called clear. And add the click element, which is called print symbol. If you think about it, the clear button, we shouldn't really print that into the screen. Okay, so we need to really remove it as a symbol. It's not really a symbol. So what happens here is, I don't want to confuse you here, but actually it looks like we have added 2 event listeners for the clear buttons. Okay, but let's talk about that some other time. Go to the next one. So you see what code is executing? This code is executing now. It says I++, which is add 1 to I. Okay, but I is still 0. But the moment you execute, you go to I, it should say 1. Any second now. Look at that. I is now 1. Okay, and then we go to this condition. Is 1 less than 18? Yup, sir, it is less than 18. So we jump, and then says, hey, give me the first element, which happens to be, that's how you highlight this, and it will tell you. How cool is Chrome, guys? That actually does all that stuff for you. Okay, it's called left p, left parentheses, and so on. You know the drill, right, guys? So I am going to jump ahead and click a breakpoint here. So if I keep doing that, it will just keep looping and stepping in the same function and over again. So if I click this, it will jump, execute all the code until the next breaking point, which is this guy, 151. So boom, there you go. Now the clear button, which had an event listener, I don't know if we see the event listeners here, which is the click command. I don't think we can. On click. Is that on click? No. I don't think we can see the event listeners, but regardless, right? There is an event listener. We added that. But now we're adding another function. Remember, guys, we did that work before. Okay, so we're adding this function. That's one function, right? That's another way of doing it. Okay, and then this will give me the function, and then we'll clear that. So what I think what happened here is the print got executed and then followed up by the clear, which is just set it to 0. So we didn't feel it, all right? But the correct way is to remove the symbol from the clear button. But go ahead and then obviously the equal, do that, and then equal will basically execute this function, okay? So some of you ask like, hey, why do you have an E here but you don't have it here? E is actually the event, right? Which tells you like some useful information, like where did you click when this event occurred, which is the click. What happened? Where did you click at? What did you click at? And then some other information, right? And you can pretty much replace it with I can't edit here, but you can replace it with what we have here, which is essentially I don't care about the arguments because I'm not going to use it, and I just want to show you different things here. So if you replace it with this, that will work as well, because you're not using the argument essentially, so you're good. But let's go ahead and execute all the code and then close that, and it looks like, guys, our code is working. Okay, I'm gonna intentionally keep this episode real light, very simple. I'll push the latest code, episode 9, guys. Let me know if you have any questions. If you're interested in this series, I'm gonna continue doing it. Right? What exactly did you like more in this series? Do you like the debugging? Do you like me to talk about more advanced stuff? I'll keep stepping in the code, and but as you can see now, the code is much cleaner now. Okay, and I think I can confidently start deleting. So let's do that before we push, right? I'm gonna delete all this code. Bye. I'm gonna delete all this code. You can keep it if you want, guys, right? If you want to learn, but I don't need it anymore. Okay, you can delete all that code, and maybe in the next episode we'll learn about constants, right? So my code is now much cleaner. Look at that, guys. Our script is what? How many lines? It is 30 lines. That's not bad. Less than 30 lines of code. And if you remove the new lines, you're actually doing much better. Okay, all right, guys. By the way, guys, you can. I'll show you some tricks here. What is this? Is this complaining? Oh, that's the old thing that we removed. Okay, if you do that, you can just do it in one line if you want to. I just wanted to do it in 2 lines, showing you that the different things that you can do in JavaScript. Okay, guys, it's pretty neat, right? Okay, I think I'll stop here. I'll push the code. You can find it in the description. Again, let me know if you have any questions. Really, your questions, I take them and make another episode out of them, because the more questions you ask, the more content you're gonna get. All right. So with that said, you guys stay awesome. Check out the other content in this channel if you really enjoyed this channel. Hit that like button, right? Hit that subscribe button, right? So I know that helps a lot. You have no idea, guys, how much this helps. Tells the YouTube algorithm that, hey, this video is useful, and start bubbling up to the top of the queue, to the top of the search results. All right, guys. You guys stay awesome, and I'm gonna see you in the next one. Goodbye.